This is from actually one of our fellow coaches that he helped some work with. It's from a student of Eduku, and if you know who that is, he is the resident Vega player from the EU in our Discord, and this is one of his students that requested to be a part of Beginner Breakdowns, and we didn't get a chance to do it last week because we already had an Akuma, and we just already had our matches filled out, but we're finally going to get around to it. But this is a Akuma versus an Ed. This is kind of a weird matchup, because off the bat, I just can't even really get my thoughts straight because it's just how odd it is. So, let me get my thoughts straight. It's KZA. First glance, what do you think about this? Because all I think of is air fireballs versus Boxer Bison. That's like the first things that comes into my head. It's like a Rorschach I'm looking at.
So Ed and Akuma are both characters who like to depend on fairly close pressure, especially Ed, in terms of getting people close to him and then dealing with them. I tend to say this is probably more of an Akuma favored matchup just because Ed's damage is not as good, and Akuma can do a ton of damage up close where Ed wants to be, and also because Akuma's lights are very good and Ed's counters to those when they're waking up are not great for that. But on the other hand, Akuma's very fragile, and so Ed's relatively low damage doesn't matter quite as much, so he could very easily take it.
Yeah, that is true. Plus, we can't forget that Ed is Captain Frame Trap. You can just get all them frame traps if you can. All that dirt. Yeah, I think that's all we got for really preliminary. And Lithiums, this isn't Great Saiyaman Ed, this is Watermelon Ed. Come on now. Alright, I think we're Mod Boys on this too. I think that's a Mod Akuma. Right, so already off the bat, we got Ed showing strong offense, getting early damage. Now he's getting pushed a little bit more.
So you can see these guys are a little bit more experienced than some people have been saying, because they're both playing much more patiently. There tends to be at least definitely a period in everyone's play where their tendency is to block a little bit more, and I think these guys are just kind of showing that.
Yeah, that is a mark of someone who's learning the game well, is when they put a little bit more emphasis in their defensive game.
You can see it's a slugfest, right? They're both trying to get in, get the other guy in their frame traps, get those tick throws in, do that damage. And Akuma's just ended up winning that, but honestly, there's several points that could have gone either way if someone had, been willing to guess right or just go for the DP.
And we'll see if good punish from Akuma. I'll give him that one. And already we're seeing Akuma getting corner pressure right off the bat, and he is a hit away from stun. Now Ed's starting to get a little bit of work in. Alright, we get another. Ooh, that's gonna do it too. Okay.
I think both problem with the air fireballs there is that both of Ed's DP equivalents don't have a good forward travel, so it's hard for him to intercept an Akuma who's just jumping around doing air fireballs.
Yeah, and I will say that Akuma punished things way better. He seemed to be a little bit more savvy on what Ed does. I even noticed after a charge heavy punch from Ed that Akuma did a neutral jump. It's probably not the best thing, but it's still not the worst. And I'd say it's about a pretty average option in that situation on a block charge heavy punch. So I feel like he knew the matchup a little better, which is always beneficial. And plus, being able to punish a lot of things that Ed was doing that obviously helped out in the long run too, as you can see he won the match.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a period of adaptation there. That first match was the first game of that set was a much bigger slugfest. They both got a lot more in, and then the second one, Akuma dominated pretty thoroughly.
Yeah, and it was interesting because looking back on it, there wasn't really any, wasn't a lot of crazy stuff going on. It was a legitimate slugfest, and you see that from time to time in Silver and Gold. It's really more of a bronze and low silver, you see that, but there wasn't a lot of dive kicks, there wasn't a lot of air fireballs, there wasn't any crazy mix-ups. It was, you know, just block and punish. That's really what it was, and Akuma just did it a lot more than Ed did, and a lot more effectively. That's what gave Akuma the win here.
Yep. I also would say I think it's, again, partially just because Akuma does get more off of stuff like that than Ed does. So Ed has to win that gamble a little bit more often than Akuma does to get the same amount of damage, which is just kind of the nature of the characters. And one of the reasons I think Akuma's not, Akuma's probably a little bit better than Ed overall.
Yeah, I'd say, like, Akuma has a lot more confirms to work with. Ed has some solid ones at a range, and he can actually get solid damage off of them, but the problem is, Akuma is just a lot more versatile, got a lot more tools, and Ed wasn't really working off a lot of his frame traps. You know, a good one with Ed is charge heavy punch. If that's blocked, you go into a EX Psycho Upper. Pretty good one. And, you know, a couple other stuff. You can utilize the Ed frame traps, really research and study them, and be able to execute them. That really will help you in the long run, because that's a lot of what that player or that character is about. So you just gotta look into it. Every character has their nuances, and you have to learn to play to those strengths. It helps out a lot. But that's really all I got to say on this. And KZA, if you have any closing comments on this match, okay, you don't. Alright, so we saw cheese. We saw a lot of cheese. Saw a lot of defense. E's and D's. And I would say the biggest part of the show, if I had to like condense it in like a Blue's Clues message for all the children out there, don't let cheese happen. Cheese is bad. It's delicious, but it's bad for you. You can still eat it sometimes, but don't eat it like a lot. You gotta learn cheese is bad. You gotta learn how to punish the cheese. Punish the cheese. Tagline of this episode. Okay, Zia, you have any closing comments on this whole thing?
Learn your confirms off of your crush counters. Please. So much crush counterable stuff this episode. Not a lot of CC confirms. Get those crush counters. Crush those shurikens. Make those Kens cry.
Yep. Make them cry. Kens are evil. And if you play Ken, you're a bad person. Remember that.
No. Ken is perfectly viable. Just, if you play Ken and you do nothing but Shoryuken, find someone better to play against.
Yep. I can hear the Kappa in his voice. He's saying it with a Kappa, trust me. Alright. That's gonna be it for us tonight. Thank you for everyone coming by and being a part of our show, as we appreciate it very, very much. Everyone have a good night. Have a good Friday. Have a good weekend. Have a safe weekend. Don't DP too much. Don't be unsafe. All those things. Don't critical art on Wake Up unless you are 100% sure you can get it. You know the drill. Alright. Good night, guys. We'll catch you next time. We will see you later.